Hello guys, welcome back to the Maths Entrance Test 13 Plus, that's for year 9, and we're gonna go through ratios, proportions, and probably problem solving. So problem solving is all about system of equations and equations, so we'll have a little chance to practice this sort of questions and problems dedicated to the topic. However, the main focus will be made on ratios and proportions. Okay, so simply what ratio means. So ratio is a sort of comparison, is the way you compare two different or maybe two or more different values to each other. For example, let's say you have one mass, small mass, to the big mass. Let's say mass of the human being to the mass of some animal that's pretty heavy. You want to see what fraction actually the mass of the human being and the mass of some animal. So this is mass of the animal and this is mass of the human being. So how you express this? You just simply express as the ratio or what it means fraction. And let's say that mass to the mass of the animal is, let's say, 60 kilograms. Out of mass of the animal, let's take 120 kg. So in this case, you can even more simplify that and come to 60. So actually you divide by 60 or cancel 1/2. So that means the mass of the human being and mass of the animal, they are related as 1 part to 2 parts. So that means the ratio represent the way of comparison. So another way around, you can say this is the share of smaller mass in greater mass. So 1 part of the smaller mass in 2 parts of the other mass. So that means the ratio represent the fraction. Okay, it shows you how many times one mass is greater or less than another one, because here if you write as normal fractional equation, you'll get mass small mass to big mass is 1/2. So just you need to remember how resolve proportion or how resolve this fractional equation. So that means 2m stays for m times 1, and that means in greater mass you have 2 smaller mass. So basically 2 human beings can be put on the scale in order to balance the animal. Okay, so that's ratio. This is the simple case, but in general case there might be a pizza pie, let's say, and you split it into 3 different parts between friends. So let's say this is Tom, this is Mike, and this is another one, like, okay, so Kate. So they split this pizza pie into 3 parts. So parts are not equal, as you can see. Let's say after splitting, m to t to k related as, let's say, 2 to 3 to 5. Okay, so let it be so. And you just need to remember how to split something into the ratio. In this case, we have 3 components for each of the friends. And let's just remember, so let's say if the mass of the pizza, let's say it's 1000 grams, and you want to split between friends, so what stays for mass for Mike? Okay, so you want to find how many grams Mike will have. So how many grams? So what do you need to do? You just simply need to remember one thing, that if you add all parts in total, you'll get 2 plus 3 plus 5, you'll get 10 parts in total. So you can calculate what stays for, how many grams stays for 1 part. In this case, you just simply take 1000 grams and divide by 10 parts. Just keep track of units because it's very significant in this case. So grams per part, right? That's what it means. And you found out that for every part, 100 grams stayed for. So grams per part. And now if you multiply by number of parts each person have for Mike, you obviously have two parts. So you simply take 2 and multiply them by 100 grams per part. And let's see what's actually going on here. You have 2 parts, right? You multiplying by parts, multiplying by 100 grams by part, so per part. So in terms of units, let's see what's going on here. So 2 times 100, it's 200. But what about units? So parts, you multiplying by grams per part. So actually, what's happening here is parts are completely cancelled because they are units and they are the same on top and the bottom of the fraction. And as you correctly, so you need to define grams, so you stays with grams, and this is correct. So you can always check your ratio using the units approach, or sort of, so that's the units. It's based from, it's based on physics, where you derive the formula and units of the final value. For example, let's remember that you have the second Newton's law, F equals ma, for example. Force is all about acceleration and mass. So probably you didn't cover, that's for definitely elder guys who are on GCC already, for example. But okay, I'll give you the pressure. You know from physics, probably from science, that pressure is the force over the area. And so what you can do, you can derive new units for pressure. So you know pascals, right? So pascals, but alternative units, if you just measure force in newtons and area in meters squared, you'll get an alternative unit. So that how it works in the formula. This is the same in ratio. You need to keep track what actually happens to units. Sometimes units might help you, okay? So keep and bear this in mind, how to work it out. Okay, so we just go through several exercises and several practice problems. We start from simple and basics, and then we go to like harder stuff. Okay, so express in the simplest form, 95 over 15. So key word here, simplest form. Remember before, when we consider example with 60 over 120 kgs, so we came to something what is called simplified fraction, right? So simplest form means your fraction, finally, your ratio should be finally simplified, okay? So that's why we do the same. We just present as the fraction 95 over 15, and then simply we want to cancel. So simplest form means cancel out the top and the bottom, okay? The bottom of the fraction, so and bottom. So if you can cancel, that means you'll get more and simplified version. And when you have prime numbers on top and the bottom part, you'll get the simplest form. So that's how it works, okay? So let's try to figure out. So 95 over 15. So 95 is 5 times, let's say, 19, right? You can check. So 5 and 15 will be cancelled. So use that to cancel. So 5 and 15 be cancelled, and hence you'll stay with 19 over 3. And because both are primes, so primes, this is the simplest form. So they prime numbers. So that's why you cannot even more simplify that. Alright, so let's go next. 0.6 over 0.4. Let's do, so write as the fraction. And then what are you gonna do? You just simply represent as 6 over 4 because it's much more convenient. Why? Because you're able to times by 10 the top and the bottom part. Okay? Because it doesn't have it won't have any effect on the fraction. So 6 over 4, simplified version is 3 over 2. So you can rewrite as ratio through the division sign, okay? Oops, 3 to 2. Alright, so that's the simplest form. I hope you understand what it means to present your answer in the simplest form. So here you need to resolve fractional equation. Okay, so just remember, we used to talk about this, but in different scope. Right now, I'm just going to show you how to work with fractional equations. So 3 over 5 is 18 over x. So this is the key skill here for how to resolve ratios. Once you complete it from word problem, you set up the equation, and in most cases it will be fractional one. So you need to be able to resolve, in other words, just solve that. Okay, in other words, resolve means you need to know how to solve an equation, so how to find x's. Okay, so what we're gonna do, we need to say the following. So 5 goes here and x goes here. All right, so crisscross multiplying. That's the simple basis of how to resolve ratios. So you'll get 3x, and here on the right side you'll get 18 times 5. Okay, so in order to find x, you simply divide the result by 3, which means you need to cancel 18 and 3, so that you're left with 6 on top, and 6 by 5 will give you 30. This is the result. However, I can give you one-step simplification. So you know that if x goes here instead of 3, you want to have finally that x will be equal to something. So that's why 3 you don't want to have here. So 3 goes vice versa down instead of x. You're actually swapping. This is the swapping process. So you swap 3 and x. That's mechanical operation. So you swap and 5 goes normally to 18. So you've got 18 times 5 and 3 goes down. So that's why over 3. And you see in one step, this is the single operation versus two-step. Okay, versus two steps operation. So if you have confidence doing that, use single operation instead of two. Okay, so what if your equation is, let's just give more example. So what if your fractional equation is much more harder? For example, you set up some equation for the word problem and you got that you have 3 minus x on top over 2. Let's say here you get 1 over 5. In this case, what to do? In this case, you simply need to, okay, maybe even x. Let's take x on both sides. So this fractional equation with repeating variable. So x variable is repeating. So what to do? You're actually doing the same. So first of all, you do crisscross multiplication. But in this case, you cannot live with one single step because later on you'll stay with two x's on different sides. So that's why first convert into linear one. So convert into linear or one line equation. So linear equation. For those who are not confident with equations, just go back and the very first video in the series, The School of Your Dream. Okay, so here we've got the following. So 5 times 3 minus x, that will be on the left side, and on the right side we've got 2x. So what to do next? Just simply solve as normal linear. So you expand the brackets, 15 minus 5x, and finally you've got 2x on the right hand side. So negative 5x transferred here, and you've got 15 equals to 7x, from where you can figure out that your x is simply 15 over 7. That's the result, okay? So bear in mind how to resolve fractions and how to resolve fractional equations. That's very needed skills, you guys. Trust me, that's very valuable skills in order to solve all other problems relating to ratios. Okay, so now let's go to some word problem. The ratio of girls to boys in the class was 3 to 2. Okay, so you set up the first phrase and convert into mathematical writing. So girls to boys is 3 to 2. How you can write another way around? So you can say this is the fraction girl to boys as fraction 3 over 2. Okay, so I recommend this way immediately to convert to. All right, so how many boys were in the other class with the same ratio? So the keywords with the same ratio. So the ratio in new class is also 3:2. And that's girls to boys, right? But new values, okay? If, with the same ratio, if there were 36 girls, all right, you set up like new ratio, girls, like sort of star, it means new one, new, and boys, new, okay? So star signifies that we have like other variables, but I mark them as G and B as well with stars. Okay, you know that 36 girls were in the class, so what you can do, you just simply can plug instead of girls new. So 36 girls over boys is actually equal to 3/2. Okay, how to figure out number of boys from there, because that's the question, how boys were in the other class. So again, you need to be able to resolve. So find B, simply crisscross and swap actually 3 with B. So 3 goes down. If you do that, you'll get 36, 2 times 2 over 3 because you swap with B, and B will be instead of 3. So B will be on top. Okay, so what we can do next, 36 and 3 will be cancelled, leaving you with 12. So number of boys, actually finally, number of boys here is simply 12 times 2, which is 24 boys. Okay, that's a new value. I put a star everywhere indicating that B star in new number of boys. Okay, so that was simple. Let's go to a bit more complicated. So about cost and value and pricing. So problems dedicated to cost. A delivery service increased the cost at $10 standard delivery to $15. Okay, so the urgent delivery is another sort of service that was 20 initially, is increased in the same ratio. So increased in the same ratio as the standard one. So it increased in the same manner as for standard delivery $10 raised up to 15. Okay, how much does the urgent delivery cost now? Okay, so first of all, let's pay attention to, you can set up like data in 2 columns. So the first is the old prices or all costs. So let's say all costs and new costs. And new costs here. All right, so what about all costs? That's standard delivery, standard. That was 10 initially, $10 initially, now it's 15. Okay, I indicate new values with yellow highlighted color. Okay, so 10 for standard goes into 15. That means it's rise up. Okay, next, the urgent delivery. So urgent. That was $20 initially, but now you can set up as some X dollars. Okay, so what do you notice? This is sort of proportion, and you can resolve simply by saying, okay, 10, again, crisscross multiplication. So X to 10, the same as 20 to 15. But keep in mind that new values set up here in this column and old values set up in the left-hand side column. Okay, so let's do crisscross multiplying. So $10 times X equals 20 times 15. And you don't need to multiply, right? You just say with factors, because the later on, so just remember the very first video, I told you that if you have fraction, you need to have a chance to cancel. So that's why don't do operation twice, because once you multiply, then you need to divide with greater numbers, and it's not convenient. So stay with factors. Okay, so we multiply 10 by X. In order to find X, we simply need to say it's 20 times 15 over 10. Okay, finally we can cancel that. So we have 2 times 15, which is $30. Okay, so that's the $30 cost. Okay, $30 cost. That's the final answer. However, I can give you another way around how you can resolve this task. That was through proportion. Proportion. Okay? You set a proportion, you use crisscross multiplying in order to create or resolve the ratio. However, you can apply a different method, what is called scale factor or just factor of increase or rate of increase, no matter how you call that, but I'll give you the sense of or essential of this method. Look, $10 increase up to 15. So actually, the multiplier effect, so you can set up the multiplier is actually 15 to 10, all right? So $15 to 10. So what it signify? If you divide that, if you cancel, you'll get 1.5 times more. That's an increase actually. This is the same as in economics. So for example, you know, in some inflation rate, and that's you trying to apply the same. So for how many times the price or cost raised up? So 1.5, that's the answer. But instead of 1.5, I will use simplified form of the fraction, 3 over 2, right? Because it's much easier when you consider as the fraction, normal ordinary fraction. So that's your multiplier. What do you need to do? You just simply need to apply this to urgent delivery. So you've got 20, then you apply multiplier, so you multiply by 3 over 2, and hence finally you get the same answer. So 20 and 2 will be cancelled, you'll get 2, so 10 times 3 is $30. So you can apply both ways, but anyway, you need, on the exams, you need to stay with one method and apply it consistently so that to save your time. There is no way to check it twice, so just one way but precise way. Okay, let's move next. On a particular day, $1 is worth 0.75 euros. How many euros can be exchanged for 200 US? Okay, so in this case, what you can do? So you simply can set up the same and use the same approach as we used before. So in other words, you can say, okay, that's US, instead of old cost and new cost, we have the phone. So that's US or simply dollars, and then you convert into euros. Okay, so you know that for $1, yes, you can get 0.75 euros. So how many euros means you have unknown value for x, euros, so can be exchanged for 200 US. So here you have 200 US. So what you can do actually, so you can resolve crisscross, all right? So you do crisscross multiplying. So x times 1 and 200 you multiply by 0.75. So simply you got x times 1. On the right side you've got 0.75 times 200. So in this case, what you can do, you can simply figure out x. It's 0.75 times 200 and over 1. Okay, now what I'm gonna do, so that's actually the answer, almost the answer. Let's take that. So let's times 200 by 75, so I can do in this way, 75 over 100 and multiply by 200. This might work, and this is my way of doing. So you can cancel 200 and 100, leaving you with 2 on top, and finally you've got 150. Okay, so you can reasonably ask, what actually I got? You need to go actually euros, right? Because the question is in euros. Okay, so let's check that you exactly got it. So here we apply on top of that, just sort of check, and we just simply want to check whether we stays with the units euros in the end. Okay, so what we're gonna do? We use $1, so we put dollar here, and $200 as well. So here we should use euros, and the final result should get euros for x, right? Because we're looking for euros. Let's check it. So we have $1 here, dollar, 0.75, that's euros, and 200, that's dollars again. So when we divide by 1, we actually divided by $1. So $200 here and 0.75 euros. So what will happen? Look at those $2 units. So they're cancelled because you divide dollars by dollars. And as in the previous result with multiplier, actually, sorry, that's my bad. Instead of dollars, of course, you need to cancel. That's how many times, no dollars at all. So dollars were cancelled, okay? So dollars were cancelled. And now you've got dollars by dollars, just nothing, so times instead. So this is the same. Dollars and dollars were cancelled, okay? Dollars become green, right? So that's how mixture in color works. All right. So dollars were cancelled. With which currency you left? With euros, okay? So you're actually left with euros because all dollars were cancelled. And that means that you've got the right units. So you can be able to check your answer and the sequence of operations in order to check at least whether you've got the proper units or they are improper, because this is the fast track and shortcut how you can check your answer at least for the cents. Like, does it make any sense? Yes, because you've got euros in the end. And another actually check that you can have. So you see that for 1 US, obviously in real life, you should get less euros, right? Because the exchange rate for euros is more and higher than for $1 from the America, so US dollar. So that means that for $200, obviously you need to get less than 200 euros and you've got 150. So this, at least this is correct. If you've got more than 200 euros, obviously you're wrong, and that's another check that you can use when you're solving this sort of questions. All right, so let's move next. Okay, so I actually decided to give you another options how you can do it in very fast track. So proportion works like it's less so it's less risky. It's less risky instrument because you can set up like US dollars, dollars by dollars, and euros by euros. However, it's a bit maybe longer. I'll show you for those who understand the idea. I show you the way of units. So look, you want to get some X euros, right? Okay, obviously because the rate, so because you have an exchange, you have the same as the ratio as in the previous example, right? You have sort of multiplier. Okay, how it works in this case? You know that you need to apply the amount of 200 and the units for that is dollars. So units are dollars here. Okay, you want it left with euros. So actually, by which factor or which multiplier you want to multiply U200 in order to stay with euros? Obviously, dollars should be in the bottom part, while, let's just set aside a little. So you need to have dollars in the bottom part. So dollars here and dollars here will be cancelled, obviously. And on top, you should have euros. Okay, so now let's have at your data. 1 US means $1 in the bottom for every 0.75 euros. So you put 0.75 on top. And that's your multiplier. So that's yellow one, it's a multiplier. And indeed, so if you cancel your dollars with dollar here, you're left with the same fraction, 0.75 times 200. So 200 times 0.75. That means you're on the right way. So this is a single step approach using multiplier. Okay, that's the single step. But here, keep track of units because they are significant for this task. All right, so let's move next. Here, Ray, Anna, Tiara, they decided to play a game. Ray scored 10, Anna scored 7, so points, obviously, and Tiara scored 3 points. Okay, so they shared the price of 160 pounds between them in the same ratio as their scores. So keywords here, the score for each person, and also that they share in the price between them on the basis. So what's the basis here? The basis is the same ratio as their scores, okay? So that means if you set up, and how the question is, they're asking you how much does Tiara receive, okay? So the question is about, first of all, set up the ratio of their scores, because that's keywords, and anyway you need, no matter what you need to calculate, you need to set up the proper ratio for your task. So let's say R, A, and T is actually scores for each person. So you make the ratio of them. So Ray score to Anna score to Tiara score. You have the numbers. Ray scored 10, so 10 to 7 for Anna, and for 3 and to 3 for Tiara. Okay, that's your scores, and you set up the ratio. So what they sharing? They're sharing the price of 160. That's just remember how you divided pizza pie between persons. But there was mass, now they sharing or splitting 160. So amount of money, right? Instead of mass, you simply go pounds and 160 in total. So now your pizza costs 160. They have shares, let's say 10, 7, and 3. Okay, that's what you need to do actually. Okay, so how much Tiara received? So Tiara, for her, it's 3 parts out of the total. So how many total parts? So in total, 10, 7, and 3, a total 20 parts, right? So that's why she's got 3 out of 20. So for Tiara amount of rewards of the price, so in pounds, she got 3 out of 20 parts, and then you apply to 160 pounds. And one more time, you just keep track of the units. So pounds, and this is without units. Scores over score is just nothing. So that's why you're on the right track. So Tiara price in pounds is simply 3 times 160 and over 20. So you can cancel 160, 160 and 20, having 8, and so 24 as the total amount in pounds. That's her price, okay? Tiara will get 24 pounds. Okay, so let's go to the B. They replayed the game, and in this time, Ray got 2 more points than Anna. Okay, now you have like a known amount of points, unknown scores. But you know, relationship between Ray's score and Anna's score and Tiara. Let's see. Ray got 2 more points than Anna. Tiara got 3 times more points than Ray got. Okay, just pay attention to the words. You need to be able to restore mathematical expressions and equations that actually the sentence tells you. So Ray got 2 more points than Anna. Okay, we put score for Ray R, and Ray got 2 more points than Anna. So Anna score A plus 2. Okay, that's what this sentence means. Tiara got 3 times more points than Ray. Now we compare Tiara's score, and she's got 3 times. So 3 times means 3 multiplying by points of the Ray. So Ray got 3 times R. If they shared the same prize amount 160 and the total scores were the same as in the previous game, how much did Ray got? Okay, did get actually, did get. So how much did he get? So if the same amount of score, and we figure out the total score was 20, so the total score is 20, and in this game is also 20, we can set up the equation for the total scores. So total scores total score for 3 persons. This is actually 20. That's why if we add Ray score R plus Anna score, and Anna can be expressed through this equation as R minus 2. So we got R minus 2, that's Anna. Okay, and we add TR score, but TR is 3R. 3R, that was stays for Tiara. In total, we need to get 20 points. Okay, so because why I decided, like you might ask me, why I decided to express everything through R? Because my final question is to find Ray score. Okay, so sorry, not the Ray score, but Ray amount of price. Okay, so that's why first of all we need to have understanding how many points Ray got out of the total possible number of points, so which is 20. Okay, so that's why we need to find R stays for scores for Ray. Okay, we simplify that. So R, and 3R, you'll get 5R in total. Then minus 2, which you transfer to the right side so that you get 22. From where R is simply 22 over 5. 22 over 5. That's the Ray score, okay? So it's fractional, so 22 over 5. I'm not going to convert. But you know, this is number of points, like sort of, yeah, that's the number of points. So score for Ray. Okay, what we need to have now, in order to split the price 160 pounds, we simply want to apply the ratio. So 22 over 5 out of means you divide by 20 because the total score is 20. So if you're not comfortable with like multi-level fraction like 22 or 5 and over 20, so you can figure out Ray score and convert into decimal if you like. So 22 over 5, or just simply 44 over 10, you times 2, so 4.4 as decimal. So instead of 22 over 5 you can use 4.4, but I'll do in my way because I feel more confident with that one. So 160 times, and here you just simply need to divide by 20 and multiply by 22 over 5, or as you calculated by 4.5 instead. Okay, so the final answer, that's Ray amount of the price, is simply 160 and 20 were cancelled, so you left with 8, and then you need to take 8 and multiply by your number, so 4.5. So you're taking 8 and multiplying by 4.5, or you're taking 8 and multiplying by 22 over 5. Okay, so you've got here, so you've got 32, right? And on top of that, you 8 multiplying by 0.5, so it's extra 4, right? So you've got 36, that stays for Ray. Okay, that's amount for price for him. Cool. Let's move next. After playing the game third time, all 3 friends shared the same amount, 160. However, this time, Ray got 2 pounds, not 2 points, but 2 pounds more than Anna. And TR got 3 times more pounds than Ray got. How much did Ray get? Alright, so let's see. Now they shared the same amount. However, this time Ray got 2 pounds more than Anna. So the question is about, again, how many pounds? Yes, how many pounds Ray got? Okay, so let's try to say that if I write Ray amount as R pounds, so Anna, because Ray got 2 more than Anna, so you can set up new equation or new connection. Anna reward with Ray, so 2 pounds more. Okay, that's for Ray. From where you can express A as Ray minus 2. Okay, What about Tiara? Tiara got 3 times more pounds than Ray got. If Ray got R, so what about Tiara? Tiara got just simply 3 times more than Ray. Okay, we've got this. So I always use pounds as the unit. So actually you are not eligible to write, but it makes sense that you expressing the money price, not the points in this case. Okay, so what if we add them up, like all the rewards? You'll come to 160 in total. So you take in R, then you add n score, which is R minus 2. Simply to say you'll get the same proportion, right? Sorry, the same equation as in the first case. So I'll just write, and instead of TR, you get 3R. So finally, you'll get 160 pounds. Okay, so let's calculate R, and let's compare it with what we had before. You see that one is actually the same, but however on the right side, 20 points. Now we've got 160 pounds instead. Okay, so let's simplify. So we've got 5R. So minus 2 would transfer to the right side. We've got 162 pounds in this case. In order to find R, we simply need to divide 162 by 5 in pounds. So in this case, we've got 162 over 5. So you can simplify as 160 plus 2 over 5 and partially divide 160 by 5, 160 by 5 and 2 over 5 in the end. So finally you've got, so for the first one, it's the same as 160, you divide by 10, but then you multiply by 2. So 16 times 2 is 32. You can check yourself by multiplying back by 5. And then the rest part 2 over 5 or 4 over 10. So 0.4 in the end. That's how many pounds Ray got in this case. So that's the answer for Ray. Okay, this is the answer for C part. Okay, so we finalized. We've got through several blocks, and here's actually we barely touched the equation. So the equation for problem solving, it's not the system of equations, sort of, but we did it on the run. So what I mean, that we have actually 3 variables, Ray, N, and TR, and we come back to just one variable which stays for R. Okay, so actually we resolve the system of 3 equations here. Okay, so we figure out, let's go next. 4 points K, L, M, N lie in order on a straight line. You're given the following ratio: KL to LN, 3 to 5, and another segment KM to MN is 11 to 13. What do you need to find? You need to find actually the ratio for all 3 segments. Okay, and give your answer in the simplest form. Okay, before we're doing that, let's set up the line. So I put it here. So let's say this is straight line, and on straight line in order means they are arranged. In order, you are given K first, then goes some L point, then goes, let's say, M point, and finally N. Okay, so they lay on a straight line, and you're given the ratio KL to LN. Okay, so what we're gonna do? Instead of like segments, I simply put variables. X for the first segment, KL, so Y for the second one, LM, and Z, let's say, for the last one. So we've got 3 segments. So this is Y, this is Z, and this is the last one, KL. Okay, look, now what we need to do. We need to, first of all, write this ratio in terms of X, Y, and Z. So KL is X to LN. So LN is the total of Y and Z together. So it's Y plus Z equals to 3 to 5. Okay. So KM is simply x plus y to mn is z is equal to 11 to 13. Okay, so what we're going to do, we need to find the ratio. Actually, final goal is to find x to y to z. Okay, in order to find this ratio, it will be ideal if we know total number of parts, right? However, just as for any ratio, however, if you calculate the total number of parts in two given ratios, so you'll get that here is only 8 parts. So set up in the whole segment, so let's say in the whole segment Kn. So Kn simply is the total, right? Is the total amount of all the parts x plus y plus z. So there are parts. So here actually x plus y plus z parts in total. Okay. However, there are only 8 parts. They are like quite big parts. So if you take Kn and divide into 8 parts, equal parts, you'll get each part. Okay. However, you don't know the length for Kn. It will be possible if you know the length. Right now, you don't know. But for the same length, here you've got 24 parts if you add 11, 13. So 24 parts. Okay, in Kn, in the whole segment. So you understand that if we got 8 parts here, so each part will be like something like this, so like quite big, right? However, for 24 parts, you need additionally divide so that each part actually gets smaller. They're not equal amount of parts. So the first recommendation is to align number of parts, okay? So align. How you can do this? So 8 parts in total versus 24. So how they are related? So this ratio is actually 3 times less than this ratio. So if you multiply by 3 this ratio, so you raise up, and now it's not in the simplest form, it will be in just like similar proportion or similar ratio. They actually come back to the simplest form. So you just simply multiply by 3 in order to get the same amount of parts. If you multiply, your ratio becomes not 3 to 5, but every times by 3. So the first 3 by 3 is 9, and 5 by 3 is 15. And now if you check yourself, how many parts in total you've got 9 plus 15, which is also 24. Now you've got 24 parts. Here you've got 24 parts now. Okay, that's done. So what do you actually need to figure out? You need to figure out x, y, and z. So you need to figure out each like fraction for x, for y, and for z. Okay, no problem. So we know that in total we've got 24 parts. So what stays for x? For x, we have 9 out of 24 parts using this ratio. So because we know that x is here, it's related to y plus z, and we know that in total we have x plus y, so x plus y plus z parts in total, so the whole segment. So we know that for x, only 9 parts out of 24 stays. So we can say that for x, we've got, just erase that for a while. So we've got the following. So parts. We've got for x, 9 out of 24 parts of some length Kn. You can write of Kn. That means you are actually taking the length of Kn and multiplying by 9 over 24. But you know the key like figure here is the fraction 9 over 24, or the part. Okay, so what about z? For z we have 13 parts out of 24, right? So we can set up that for z we've got 13 out of 24 of Kn again. Now you understand the logic. So 24 parts adhere to Kn in both cases. So, but the question is about y, right? We don't know about y, but we know that x and y together will give us Km, right? So x and y, it's here. And if we know for x, so just simply we can use this and this equation, this ratio, and instead of x, we put 9 over 24 of Kn, and instead of y, we put nothing, just y. So, and z, what about z? We relate to 13 out of 24 parts. So that's our ratio, right? That's our ratio. So what do you think? In order to find y, what we can do? We know that for x, we have 9 parts. But we also know that for Km, which is x plus y, we've got 11. So for x plus y, we've got 11 parts. And for x, we have only 9. So what we can do? So better instead of this, even better to write that simply, instead of x, we have 9 parts plus y, and that will be corresponding to 11 parts in total. So what stays for y? For y stays the difference, right? So let's see graphically. In order to find y length, you just simply take in the whole length Km and subtract this blue part, which is x. So y is actually Km minus x, right? So that's why here in parts we'll get 11 minus 9. So that's why for y stays only 2 parts out of 24 and out of Kn. So that's the key figures. And in order to find that, in order to find the ratio x to y to z, we simply take in the following. So x, we divide by y and divide by z. So we set up this proportion x to y to z is actually, and now we're taking only the tops because the bottoms are all the same, and hence we can do that with no problem. So we don't touch the bottom part at all. So we've got 9 to 2, that stays for y, and to 13. Okay, we've got this 9 to 2 to 13. All right, so that's how it works, and that's the final ratio. And you see that you cannot even more simplify that. So that's the answer for this task. So this, guys, this task is pretty like challenging. It will be in very like outstanding school test. So that's why, but now you know how to cope with that. But if you're not still confident, one more time, try to go through the basic ratios, and then only then just come back here, because this is a really complicated task. Okay, so next one, and the last one for the ratios. A girl mixes red paint and white paint in the ratio 2 to 7 to get the pink paint. All right, obviously, right? Mixture of the colors. Red and white gives you pink, because white sort of dissolve a little of red, so, and the colors are changing for the final mixture. Okay, so I can immediately set up the ratio. So red to white as 2 to 7. Okay, so we get pink paint with a total of 27 liters. Okay, so we've got some can, right? We've got 27 liters in total, okay? That's 27 liters in total. So here is some like red, right? That's some red part, which is actually only 2 parts. And the rest part is white. So actually we can say that now red is here and this is white. So red and white. And they are like volumes related as 2 to 7. Okay, how much more white paint she needs to add to the mixture to the mixture, so to that mixture. So something sort of white to add in terms of liters. Okay. In order to have the ratio of red paint to white paint as 1:6. Okay, so what actually is happening? Look guys, what actually is happening? You know, if she adds some more white paint, so after adding, what she's going to have? She's going to have probably another opacity, definitely, but red is not changed. So look, the red paint in terms of liters, in terms of volumes, is not changing. It stays the same. So red stays the same. Okay. So what about white? Now she's got white plus some extra. Okay. And of course you don't know how many liters she will have in the end. But look, what actually happening? If you know red, oh okay, and the ratio of red paint to white paint, so red to this expression is going to be 1:6. Okay, so final goal is to find this extra white, so like sort of y star after adding. So let's set up new ratio. That's old ratio, and let's set up new one. So red to white plus extra white is 1:6 now. Okay, so what do you think? How to find y from here? So sorry, not y, but w star. So it means white extra. If you know this, and if you know red, you'll find it with no troubles. So that's why where we can find it from. We can find from the old proportion. So red to white is 2:7. So red to white is 2:7, and we also know that in total we've got originally 27 liters. So we know in total there are 9 parts, right? 9 parts, and we've got 27 liters in total. So all 9 parts represent 27 liters. So what we can do for red, there is 2 out of 9 stays, right? So red is 2 out of 9 applying to 27. That's liters now. And if you apply that, you'll get 27 over 9 is 3. So 3 times 2 is 6. So 6 liters stays for red. So now we can mark, okay, 6 here and 6 here is not changing, right? You add in only something white, not red. So red is not changing. So what about white that was originally in a can? So it's 7 parts out of 9 parts, again applying to 27. So and again, that's liters, and now you're thinking about how to cancel. So 27 and 9, that's actually 3, and 3 times 7, 21 liters. So obviously in total 6 and 21 should give you 27 liters as you had before. So okay, that's done. And now let's just set up those values into new ratio. So we've got 6 on top, let's write as the fraction, so this is red, over w, which is 21, plus some extra, which is w star, so equals to 1:6. Okay, so where is our variable? It's here. Oops, it doesn't work definitely. So your variable that you're looking for is here, so that's w. In order to find w, first of all, you just need to resolve the fractions. So how you resolve? Crisscross, that goes here and that goes here. So 6 times 6 equals to 1 times 21 plus w, so 21 plus w star. So w star is extra white paint that you added, extra white added. Okay, and you're looking for this value. So w star is simply 36 minus 21 liters. That's stays for w star. Okay, so 36 minus 21 is simply 15 liters added. So extra white was added in the amount of 15 liters. Hope you guys like that. That's two final task was really tough. Even this so that's the actually tested material tested problems. So get ready for this hard problems if you're going to Sevenoaks or to school with the high level and high reputation. So guys, be prepared for this sort of task if you want to get into. So I hope that going through that you'll have all necessary skills in order to cope and struggle with different ratio problems. Okay, but don't forget that in the end, after explanation, I'll give you a revision by my round. So I'll just try to create typical test from my own, and you'll be able to go through and try to get the marks. It's very interesting after doing this revision test. Actually share in comments how many scores you'll get. Just drop in the comments, and that will be your estimation. Okay, I'll try to complete the average test typical to Sevenoaks or to top leading schools. So I just try to create some tasks that are very similar to it. Okay, so guys, hope you like that. Don't forget to subscribe and share this video to anyone who's going to Sevenoaks, of course after you get enrolled. Otherwise you'll get lots of competitors. So try to keep them secret for a while, but after passing exams, please share your scores. So probably share your thoughts about how this material was useful for you guys, how it worked for you. But you can drop the comments immediately after just passing through. So that's not a problem, but after being enrolled, please share with me. It will be interesting. So hope you like that, and see you later.